Good evening. I hope you don't mind that I'm sitting this time.
No.
I saw a chair here, so I took
Make
advantage.
yourself comfortable.
Being in Nattan is always a privilege and an honor. Last time I was in this room was Yom Kippur, and so it's good to be back here. Especially to be back to this group of young ladies. As we know, Nashim Tzidkaniyot, because of the righteous woman, we were redeemed. And Be'ezat Hashem, due to you, again, we shall be redeemed with Mashiach.
Amen. It's always our responsibility.
I would like to start off. We're holding a few Parshiot already into Sefer Bereshit. And it's wonderful to every year to start the Torah from the beginning. The point is to be able to learn something new from the Sefer Torah again. Every week, every year, every time you learn the same Parasha over, it's important to get something new from it. One of the biggest mistakes people do is that they think that I already learned Bereshit when I was in first grade, second grade. I learned it and I know it. That's the biggest mistake a person can do. Because the Torah is so full of information that it's important to look at it again and again anew and with fresh eyes to be able to learn something new from it. In this week's parasha, we learn about Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu, our forefather Abraham, is known as the biggest Baal Hesed, the biggest person who, if you want to translate Hesed, you want to say someone was Hesed, someone was a kind person, you would show a picture of Abraham Avinu. And so it's important for us to stop, look, analyze to see what did Abraham Avinu do that made him a Baal Chesed, that made him such a kind person. What was it? What trait did he have, that he possessed, that he do in order to be that kind person? Achnasat orchim, inviting guests in. And that's what we see in this week's parasha. As soon as it starts off, so Abraham Avinu just made a Brit Milah. It's 3 days later. He's in intense pain. So Hashem doesn't want him to be busy with guests. So what does Hashem do? He makes it very hot outside. It's very hot. Right? So nobody's coming. Now Abraham Avinu is more upset. He has no guests. So what does God do? Sends 3 angels. My question always was, why does God send 3 angels? Make the sun not be so hot and let people come. But let people come. Let people come. He said the whole thing was Hashem said, I don't want people to bother Abraham Avinu, so I'll make it hot. And then he says Abraham is more upset that people are not coming, so he says I'll send angels. Make it not so hot again, people will come. So you see, in order to be zochet, to see angels or angels to come and give you good news, you have to be what's known as mesirat nefesh. You have to be able to do something even though it's so hard. In order to gain anything in Judaism, and gain any spirituality, a person has to fight against his nature. A person has to go against what's comfortable. If you want to gain something, you have to go against what's comfortable. You have to go against what's easy. That's how a person gains. So Abraham Avinu, he was zochet to see these angels. They come and they're going to tell him about his son that's going to be born in a year. All that because he wanted to do the mitzvah of Nasat Orchim, like she said. Now, let's look at the verses that describe what happened. So Abraham is sitting talking to Hashem, and it says, "Vayisa einav vayar." He raised his eyes and he saw. And there were 3 people standing. Those 3 angels who looked like Arabs. And then the pasuk continues and says, "Vayar," and he saw them. Vayarotz likrotam mipetach ha'ohel, and he ran to greet them. So 1 second, listen what it said. It said, Vayar, he saw, 3 people standing. Vayar, and he saw, Vayaras likrotam, and then he went to call them. He ran after them to call them. So it says twice that he saw. Why does he have to see 2 times? He already saw. He saw they were standing there. The pasuk should say he saw them and he ran to them. No, it says he saw them standing. He saw them and he ran. So Rashi right away tells us, what are these 2 vayar? Rashi says, Harishon kimashma'o. The first visual, the first time he saw, that's regular. That means he saw. People see. Everybody sees. But Hasheni, but the second sighting that he saw, Lashon Havana. It means he understood. You see, there's seeing, and then there's seeing. They're seeing in the sense that you see. Everyone sees. But then they're seeing, I understood what I saw. I understand what I'm seeing. I understand the situation that's being in front of me. In order to do hesed, in order to be a person who wants to do kindness, which, by the way, is not just something that people should choose to do or not do. It's not an optional thing. Being a kind person is ingrained in us as Jews. And in fact, like Chaim Volozhin would say, Ha'adam lo la'atzmo nivra. A person wasn't created for himself. Rak loho'il la'acharini b'cho asher yimatzeh b'chocho la'asod. A person was created in order to help someone else as much as he could, as often as he could. That means we were all created to help somebody else. It's not about us. It's about the other person. So in order to be able to understand what someone else needs, you have to be able to look and see. And really see what's going on. We walk outside and we see people. Sometimes we hope the other person didn't see us. And then we quickly try to run away the other way.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see something and we can't run away the other way, so we pretend to be busy on our phone. A paper, what my sister, my brother, my child was saying something to me, and all of a sudden you don't see what else needs to happen.
Sometimes a good thing.
Sometimes you're not supposed to see something, that's correct. If someone's being Halil Shabbat on Shabbat and outside, and it's better probably not to tell him anything at that time, because he's not going to listen to you anyway, so then you can pretend not to see it.
But it's also like you did your part that you're telling them, like...
So you have to know when and where. Yeah, only time you're supposed to give rebuke to someone or tell someone something to do, it's only if you know they're going to listen to you. If you feel that if you're going to tell them they're not going to listen to you, or in fact, there's no point, and not only is no point, it might come to be not a good thing, because if you keep telling someone something now that you know he's not going to listen to, and then later on he might listen to you or she might listen to you, but since you've always told them things and they never listen to you, so they won't listen to you now. So you have to leave. If you see in the Torah, so you see in the Torah, Yaakov Avinu never gave rebuke to his children, even though they did things wrong, until the day of his death. Why he waited for the last day? Because you know they wouldn't listen to him as much as they would have listened to him on his day that he's dying. All of a sudden, when someone's dying, everybody listens now. Everybody comes, everybody's listening. If someone said it when he's alive and fine, nobody listens. So you have to know how to use rebuke. So sometimes you have to know when to see something, when not to see something. You're right. What's your name?
Yasmin.
Yasmin. Okay. So we pretend sometimes not to see things, but at the same time, you see in this world, today, Baruch Hashem, we have telescopes and all sort of scopes that you can see into the sky, see so very far away. We have microscopes so you can see so small, so small. Baruch Hashem, today people know that you're not allowed to eat bugs, and you have to look in the green vegetables for bugs and stuff like that. And people are looking and they see worms, right? They see all sorts of things. And they see all the way out in the sky. The question is, do they see the person in front of them? Do we see the person in front of us? And do we see not just them, but do we see what they need? There's another great person in Jewish history who was also, like Abraham Avinu, stopped and saw something and did something about it. This is Yosef HaTzadik.
I was thinking of Yosef.
Very good. Yosef is in the dungeons, and two of the officers of Paro are in the dungeons as well. They're in the prisons. And Yosef sees them and he says, Vayavo alehem Yosef baboker. Yosef came to them in the morning. Vayarotam V'hinam zo'afim, and he saw them, and he saw that they were depressed. So what does he do? Ignore them? Go his own way? Madua penechem ra'im hayom. Yosef says, tell me, why are you so depressed? He wants to help them out. So they go through their whole story, their dreams that they had. He tells them, he interprets the dreams.
And they came true.
They came true. And then eventually Yosef's ticket out of those dungeons was based on the interpretation of those dreams. We see that not only did Yosef HaTzadik stop to help someone when he saw they needed him, but that also created his own salvation. Olam Hesed Yibaneh, the Tehillim says. The world is created in kindness. The world's foundation is kindness. But there's a different meaning to the pasuk. When a person does Chesed, Olam Yibaneh, he creates his own world. Meaning every time you help somebody else, you're really creating your own world. That's also last week's Parsha, where Avraham Avinu, Hashem tells him, Lech lecha, go for yourself. What does that mean, go for yourself? That means every time you do something helping somebody else, you're actually helping yourself. And so Yosef HaTzadik creates his own salvation by looking at someone, seeing that they need something, and helping them out.
See something, see something.
See something, do something. Sometimes all you need is say something, and sometimes all you need to do is listen. There are a lot of problems out there that a lot of people have that we can't solve. It might be someone's out of a job. It might be someone has other financial issues. It might be someone is sick. And we can't physically help them. But we know a lot of times just listening to someone, just giving them the time of day to tell them what the issues are, listen to what their issues are. You know, and this is something that I think the girls do great. If the guys have an issue, is that we always think of in a practical term of how we can fix things. And until this day, even though I know this concept, no matter how many times my wife tells me something, the first thing in my head is like, okay, we're gonna fix it this way, this way. But the truth is they don't need to fix it. They want to talk about it. They just want to bring it out. And it's important for us to know that. Not only for our relationships with spouses, but also between our friends, our families. Sometimes they need someone to talk to. You know, sometimes people have no one else to talk to, so they talk to their pets. They talk to the walls, because no one else is listening. Our job is sometimes to just have that listening ear. You know, there's a mitzvah in the Torah. If someone's in jail, a Jewish person's in jail, we're supposed to do everything we can to get them out. And people take this mitzvah very serious. And we'll give top dollars to help people get out of jail. But it's important to remember that anybody who has any such problem, any type of problem, they're in their own mental prison. Because they have issues. They're stuck. They're in a hole. And they need someone to come and help them out. Jews, us Orthodox Jews, were called observant Jews, not religious Jews. All right, observant Jews. You know why we're called observant Jews? Because we're supposed to observe. We're supposed to see and do something about it. So we, Baruch Hashem, are called observant because we observe the Torah mitzvot, and we observe what's going on around us, and we do something about it. The Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us, Masechet Sanhedrin goes through the judicial system of the Jewish people through capital punishment. Right? The Talmud tells us that a court who kills more than one person in 70 years is an evil court. Meaning, even though in the Torah we have capital punishment, it's not something the courts are supposed to put into effect. They're supposed to find ways to not give people capital punishment. But the Talmud also tells us that a person who needs to get killed, it tells us how Hashem feels at that time. This time that this Rasha, this evil person, is about to be executed, what does the Hashem say? Hashem says, Kalani miroshi, Kalani mizro'i. My head is heavy upon me. My arm is heavy upon me. Hashem is saying that I'm in distress that someone's about to be killed. Even though they deserve to be killed and they need to be killed. Hashem is in distress. It doesn't say that about any other mitzvah. It doesn't say about anything else. If a person doesn't put on tefillin, a person doesn't keep Shabbat. It doesn't say that. It says when a person is in distress, when a person is having trouble, Hashem says, I feel it. And we know that we're supposed to, one of the mitzvot in the Torah is to emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's to copy Hashem. Hashem is a kind God, we're supposed to be kind. Hashem feels pain for someone else, we're supposed to feel pain for someone else. Avraham Avinu, in this week's Parsha, teaches us a very important concept. The concept to look and look again to understand what people need. I remember at my kanchori, after my engagement party, which was sort of a couple blocks over here, we're driving, I lived in Brooklyn at that time, so I was driving my grandma back to Brooklyn. And she started to give me a speech about marriage in the car.
Oh, those lovely speeches.
So she tells me, when you're married, you come home and there's garbage on the floor, you don't call your wife.
You pick it up.
You pick it up. You heard this one. She says if you come home and there's nothing to eat, you make the food. Mm-hmm. So, I was a little taken aback. First of all, where is this coming from? Who said I wasn't going to do any of this?
She just
I guess she knows well. But then I stopped and I'm thinking about it. And I think what she was telling me was to really see. If there's garbage on the floor, there's no wife that wants to have a messy home. The fact that the home is messy, that means something else is going on. Mm-hmm. That means she's busy with the kids. There's something else. There's a job. Food's not ready. That means something else was going on. You see, any other person would come home screaming, yeah, where's this? Where's that? How come like this? What did I do all day? I went, I came back. And there's a lot you can say. But the observant person stops and says, why is this way? Situational awareness, right? You want to be able to understand what's going on. When you look at something, it's not just black and white what you see in front of you. There's something more to that. Every time we say Shema Yisrael, we close our eyes, we put our fingers over our eyes, and we say Shema Yisrael. Hashem is God, one, the only one. Everyone stop and think why we close our eyes?
Full trust in Hashem.
To concentrate. Okay, to bring that down. A full trust in Hashem. I think the real reason is, to me, is that we're saying Hashem is one. I mean, Hashem created the whole world. But if you open your eyes and you look around, this was man-made. All this was built by man.
Yeah,
this is probably made in China. Control. This is probably made in China. The physical in front of us is that it's made by something else.
I think we're closing our eyes.
In order to understand, in order to really see, like Yasmin's saying, is you have to close your eyes. You have to stop and think what's really going on out there. Not to be fooled by the mirage that's in front of us, the illusions that's in front of us. Because a lot of it is just that. It's all fake. And we have to see past that. We have to see what is going on, understanding our situation, understanding people around us. Yes?
I think, in my opinion, when we close our eyes, like we say, like Shema Yisrael, like we have like a few seconds that we close our eyes, we see darkness. When we see darkness, we don't see everything else. We focus on one thing, that Hashem is in control. And then when we open our eyes, we'll be like, even though we know that things are not happening the way it's supposed to be,
what we think it's supposed to be.
Around us, we all know that there's one God, and we always have to remember, like at least once a day, twice a day. Like.
So in order to do that, in order to have clarity, right? To see with clarity, we need to close our eyes. There is a lot more out here than meets the eye. We have to look past that. Rav Galinsky once saw Rav Shach, who was a great Rosh Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. He was already over 90 years old, and Rav Shach was running on the streets in Israel. So Rav Galinsky sees Rav Shach, he tries to catch up to him. He says, Rav Shach, why are you running? What's going on? And Rav Shach tells him what he says. He says, I don't have koach, I don't have strength to walk, so I run. You know? I don't have strength to walk, so I run. Because the truth is, a lot of us can say, yeah, it's nice to know people need stuff and help stuff, but I don't have strength to do it. I don't have time to do it. So you don't have time to do it, you go ahead and you do more. You go ahead and you push yourself towards it. You think Abraham Avinu had the strength to run after those 3 Arabs?
No.
They weren't even good people. You know, these are people who were serving Avodah Zarah. And he's running after them. He's pushing himself to go after to help those people. Rav Shaul Salanter, Tzaddik Baruch would say, if someone did something bad to you, and you want to truly forgive them, in order to truly forgive them, you got to go ahead and do something good for them. Because just saying you forgive them doesn't mean anything. You want to show that you really forgive them? Show yourself, not them. To be the better person, you go and you help them. It's going against what we would think is the normal and natural way of doing things.
Basically giving them attention.
Going out of your way to do something for them. Yes. We have one more person in Jewish history where, again, he shows us what it means to look out for someone else.
Moshe?
Did you prepare my speech for me?
No.
It says, Moshe grew up, and he went out to his brothers, and he went to see their suffering. You remember Moses at this time was living in Pharaoh's palace. He had everything good. He was the prince of Egypt. And yet he knew he was Jewish. And so he went out to look at his Jewish brethren and say, let me feel their pain with them and help them. He had no reason to do it. He didn't need to do it.
He did it in secret.
But he did it. He did it in order because he was a person who saw, a person who knew that something has to get done. A person came to the Beit HaLevi and told him right before Pesach, a couple of days before Pesach, and told him, I have a question, the man asked. He says, I don't have money for wine. Can I be yotzeh ba'arba kosot with milk? Can I fill the fulfillment of the Seder night of drinking 4 cups of wine with milk instead of wine? So the Beit HaLevi said, let me take a look. He opened up the Shulchan Aruch, although he knows 100% that it's not possible. It has to be either wine or grape juice. But in order to give the man an attention, he took the sefer down, looked inside, and then said, no, unfortunately it has to be wine or grape juice. So let me help you out. So he goes and he takes a couple of $100, whatever equivalent where they lived at that time, and gave him a nice sum of money for Pesach. And the man said, thank you, and left. Now his student says to the rabbi, to the Beit HaLevi, he says, why'd you give him so much money? A couple of bottles of wine. You can buy a couple of bottles of grape juice. $20, $30, $40. What do you need more than that? And the Beit HaLevi said, if the man is asking me if you can drink milk for Seder night, that means he has no meat for the Seder night either. And he has no chicken, and he has nothing else. So in order to give him, I got to give him more money. That means, because we just looked at it as a question, a practical question. Can you use milk or not?
He looked into deeper.
But he looked past that. He looked to the understanding of where that question is coming from. Just tell me what time we have? There's the clock? Oh, wow. Okay. I don't want to keep you guys too long. And I have to go also. But
he has a wife.
The point is that we really have to look past what we see. Intelligence, right? Intelligent listening or emotional listening, emotional seeing, which means is that we don't just see what's in front of us. We understand what's going on. We're looking to understand what's going on. If someone's acting out, right? Someone's acting out. There's usually some sort of cause of where it's coming from, right? Like if a child acts out, there's something happening. Something's bothering them. Something's happening, right? I got a couple of girls at home. I have 4 girls, thank God. And sometimes they come home from school and they're acting weird, and I keep asking, what's going on? What's going on? They don't want to tell. You can see something's happening, but they don't want to say. And it takes time to get it out of them, but something is happening. If they're acting out of character, something is happening.
It's hard for them to trust.
So we have to understand that something's happening, and we have to see what we can do about it. This is what Avraham Avinu's Hesed was so great, because when he saw somebody, He didn't just see them, right? Imagine you had plans with somebody and they call you last minute and say, oh, my brother's not feeling well. I'm sorry, I have to cancel. And you say, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. Bye. Conversation seemed to go good, right?
Not really.
What was missing?
How was your brother?
Exactly.
Is
A lot of people don't do that.
well?
A lot of people say, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know, and they're out.
Those people that don't really care. The people that care actually care.
People who care and understand to care.
Yeah.
Because some people just don't understand it. But that's having an emotional understanding, is to be able to say, hold on a second, is there something I can do? You canceling me last minute, right? Thank you for letting me know. But there's something I can do, something that you need. Is everything okay? You may not be able to help them. The fact that you're showing interest in them. Someone new walks into synagogue one day. They already feel out of place. So what do? I ignore them? Pay attention that they're not there? We walk over and say, hi, how are you? Where are you from? It's already a different feeling. And you're going to see a lot of people don't do that. And you say, why should I do that? If you can't walk, run. Because you don't want to do that, go ahead and do it even more. And then, Be'ezrat Hashem, we could be like Abraham Avinu. I want to end off with one last idea about Abraham Avinu. There's a famous story that's told about a young boy who decided he wanted a pet.
Yay.
And his mother couldn't afford a puppy or whatever else people get nowadays.
Husky.
And so she went and she got him a caterpillar.
Oh, hey, caterpillars can be nice to turn to a butterfly.
And then they die.
So,
Gosh,
I think all pets eventually go find a new home.
Exactly, but like you nurture them until they can nurture themselves.
So she gets him a caterpillar with a nice box and logs and leaves, and the caterpillar's there and is having, he every day comes home, looks at it, sees it growing, and one day he comes home and it gets into a cocoon, and he finds out the caterpillar's going to turn into a butterfly, and he's very excited. And every day he's coming home from school watching to see if it's opening. And one day he comes home and it's starting to open. And he sees the butterfly struggling to get out. And he can't wait anymore. He wants to help the butterfly. So he gets a pair of scissors from the kitchen and starts to cut the cocoon to open the butterfly so he can come out. The butterfly comes out, but can't fly. Its wings don't seem to be in the correct shape. And so he tells his mom, the butterfly's not flying. And mom says, maybe he needs a day or two. So they wait, and still the butterfly can't do anything. So this is at a time before Google existed. So the mother called the local university where they had courses in bugs, life, and stuff. So she spoke to one of the professors and said, listen, this is what happened. We had a caterpillar. It was turning into a butterfly. It was starting to come out, and my son helped it along, and now it doesn't fly. And so the professor said, well, I'm sorry, but when your son helped the butterfly get out of its cocoon, he didn't allow for the formation of the butterfly's wings. You see, the fluid needs to be pushed in the right directions, and as it's fighting through that cocoon, that's what happens to the wings, and then it's able to fly. You know, Rabotai, that Abraham Avinu had 10 tests, 10 challenges. Each struggle more harder than the next. But you understand now what struggles are. Struggles help us get our wings. Struggles help us, the challenges help us to be able to soar, to be able to fly, to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu better. And so every time a challenge comes our way, we shouldn't be upset about the challenge. We shouldn't look to have challenges, obviously. We don't want to be tested or have tests or challenges. But when they do come our way, and when we run instead of walk to pass that test, we are developing our wings to serve HaKadosh